Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Curfew Boys. We have a new host for this evening, probably the best one of them all.
He's
Statsman Joe
starting
is now
already.
taking over the Curfew Boys completely. So, you guys, all our fans are finally relieved from Anthony and Sam. God, when they hear this, guys, oh man, I'm gonna be in a lot of trouble. But with me tonight, episode 160. I got my boys. We got ball busting Zook.
Yay
We got
now.
Chipman Adri with no chips, and we
Nope.
got GQ Chris. How you guys doing?
Very good, yo.
Not bad, not bad. Decent week. Besides Montreal winning that one game, but
Your
other than
favorite.
that, we'll get into the tanking as always. Before we do, obviously, guys, if you like what you see for our content, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, and if you want to hear us, we're all on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and if you want to see our beautiful faces, subscribe and watch us on YouTube. All right, guys. So let's start. Since our last episode, Habs had 3 games, went 1-2. We'll start with the first match in Carolina. KK scored.
Of
We
course.
made it close.
Obviously.
Of
Obviously, he's going to
course.
score.
Of course,
It always
Isn't that
happens.
the curse
Montreal
of the Habs,
against
right?
the Quebec goaltender
Hmm.
or Montreal against an ex-player. The Quebec goaltender is going to do well, or Montreal against an ex-player are going to score or get a point or do something positive for that team. We know that's going to happen, but solid 2 periods from me. Anyway, solid 2 periods. They went
Yeah.
2-2. They were 2-2 going into the third, and then Carolina said, "Okay, they're gonna step up, take over." So, what'd you
Have
guys
you
think of that
noticed-
match?
Have you noticed though that like with I'd say the last 4 games, they have had 2 solid periods per game, but it's always 2. It's never a full fucking game. It's either they start off slowly or they start off, decent, and then it tapers off towards the end of the game, and then at the end, that's where they make their defensive mistakes and teams capitalize on that.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't
I
know.
think that comes to experience. I really
Oh, you
think
think
that
so?
comes down
Okay.
to experience. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Like that game against Carolina, they fought well, and then just experience takes over, and just I'm gonna say naturally talented team. Remember
You
too,
know.
and we'll talk about it later. They're ravaged by injuries, so
And they're
it
still
doesn't
like
really
third
help.
place.
Yeah, exactly. So I was shocked they made it that far, but again, Carolina just showed their dominance in the third and they took over that game. I mean, the pro tank in me, I'm good with it. Adri, Chris, I don't know if you guys watched the game. What are your thoughts on what happened in Carolina?
Go ahead, AG, if you want to start.
Not much to
No.
say. Like it would, like I said, the first couple of periods they're like, okay, cool. Then basically the floodgates open and that's it. Like I said, it was over as soon as I think there was back-to-back goals and then game over.
I, you know, I don't know if it was towards the end of the game it got a little bit more rough. There was a little, tough stuff in the corners and whatever. Again, I'm gonna say it like this: it's really hard to pinpoint moments in the game because the guys who we know would be standing out and doing special things that are memorable from a game are just not there anymore. I mean, it's down to Suzuki and other than maybe flashes here and there of Harvey Pinard and Suzuki chemistry. There's not much there. Like Joey said, hey, wow, the score is close. It's not a complete blowout. There's a little development from our young guys. Okay.
It's not only
Next game.
development; it's also good coaching. That makes a big difference.
Yeah,
So we're also seeing that.
there's
You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
Right, but if you notice too, and it showed more than in the Devils game, who's really stepping up with all these injuries and taking his opportunity is Justin Barron. He's actually
Yeah.
somebody that's
Mm.
been impressing lately. So I'm hoping that growth continues in the future. He's showing game by game. Carolina did well, and we'll segue into this against Toronto, where I mean, yeah, I like a loss, but not against Toronto. We go ahead and lose to Toronto 5-1. I don't know what to even make about that game. Is just I just don't think they were there at all. Like really,
Toronto, man.
yeah, exactly. They just weren't there. They just weren't there at all. And I didn't see
We'll give
anybody
Toronto a
step up.
game.
What, Adrian?
So we'll give Toronto a game.
Yeah. Usually we play them hard than what we did Saturday. I was actually surprised. Like usually we play them tougher. Maybe we did a bit in the first period. We did score first, but then after that, I don't know. I think they just fell apart. but they have nobody. No Doc,
Yeah.
Wooly. Obviously, there's just so many injuries. Caulfield. It's just like, how does this team keep up for another 25 games? I don't know. It's crazy.
And it's getting harder schedule
It's the
wise.
it's the young guys.
And we're about to trade away players potentially.
Yes, we are, and we're gonna get it into the trade market as well. And this is the Statman Joe getting angry, and Adri call me complaining. We go on to New Jersey, guys. We beat New Jersey 5-2. I do not understand this type of game. New Jersey, when we're shit and they're shit, we still always lose them, especially in New Jersey. We come out flying against New Jersey. Kovacevic, well, Barron, that goal, Suzuki, that snipe he had. This is where I see that they're not a team that is like the worst of the worst, in the Chicago, Columbus, but they're obviously not there either. They're sort of getting into that middle, which then shows the aggression. Yeah, Zook.
I said it also, I believe, in a couple shows ago with Sam. Is like, or maybe it was offline. It was in our chats. I asked him. I'm like, the Habs. If you look at the shittier teams in the league, like the shitty, it's a 5 bottom teams. Where I think the Habs are part of that group. I asked him, who's the best of that group? Who's going to have the best future in the group? What's the answer, Joey?
Out of all the no, it's got to be Montreal, of course.
Exactly. So that's a good sign, right? So that's actually a positive if you look at it. Yeah, yes, they're last, they're in the last tier group of the league, but it won't be the case for a long time. Like a lot of the teams in that category, it's been a while for some of these teams. They can't seem to either get their proper rebuild and things like that, or they don't have a core young staff, a young core coming up. I think
yeah, no,
if
you're
the
right.
Habs have a step on those teams, right?
You're
Which means
right.
in the next few years they'll be in the middle group.
Well,
they'll
they're
be above a Detroit, or something to that effect, or near Ottawa, or like something like that. And then it's
Yeah,
going to grow.
and they're definitely more advanced in that department than the teams that are below them. We're talking about Chicago, Columbus.
Yeah.
Anaheim has good prospects. We just got to see them get better.
Yeah, they're another one in that group where they could explode within the next 4 or 5 years.
Because Chicago's actually just starting this year. You notice they got rid of everybody, everyone. So they're starting this year their rebuild. Columbus, I didn't even know what they're doing. They got Johnny Gaudreau thinking they're gonna make the playoffs, and so they're nowhere near there. They're absolutely nowhere near there. So we're definitely a step ahead of them. And a game like this, some of these guys, the way they're playing, some of the young guys, it's really impressive. Obviously, I don't like the loss, but it was really impressive to see how they played in New Jersey, a team that Montreal always struggled. And for God's sakes, guys, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's some sort of bluff or something. Is Montembeault, maybe he does the skate, the warm-up skate, he goes back. Is it Carey Price that comes back out and puts the mask on and everyone thinks it's Montembeault? Because what the hell is this guy? I don't understand. I don't understand where he came from last year.
Where he came from is he's finally getting time to fucking play properly and develop and all this.
Not only that, Adrian, he could have been also injured last year as well.
Yes, that too. But again, all the constant shuffling of you play one bad game, you're out. You play this, he gets into a groove and he's good.
I don't know if you noticed.
Same thing with Allen.
Yeah,
he gets into a groove where he's good, and then he gets into a groove when he sucks.
Maybe,
but that's why Allen is Allen, right? So,
but Allen's more experienced, right? But like, let's say, I think Montembeault's. He's been, what's the word? He's been under, I guess, what's that guy's name? Marc-Andre Raymond? Who's the goalie coach? Raymond.
Raymond. I don't know his first name.
I don't know his first name, but it's Raymond. Maybe he's learning a thing or two from him.
Oh, for sure.
Into the games, because technically he looks fantastic. Last year he was terrible technically. He was falling everywhere.
Don't forget, he also carries in the room.
You think so?
Whether we like it,
okay.
Whether we like it or
spirit.
not. No, but his spirit. But he's not just sitting at home. He said he wants to be involved, so he's there. He's not there all the time, every day, but he's there. He's the biggest, one of the biggest veterans there. So He and
You think he's having like an influence on Moltenbo?
well, for sure.
It
I'm
only
pretty
see
sure,
fit. Yeah, I would think so.
Interesting.
or else you wouldn't like you don't hear much about him.
But
I will
he's always been
say,
quiet. Yeah, he's
yeah,
a
it's been
silent
quiet.
leader.
But the
Yeah.
thing is, too, is you don't know who's coming in and out of the arena unless you're really
Mm.
there.
No, for sure.
And he's, they're constantly practicing whether they're there or if they're at the at the complex in Brossard. So
That's
he
true.
he's around. Like you said,
Chris?
if he's not there, his spirit's there.
Yeah, for sure.
I think, look, Carey can definitely be having a pitching in. I think the goalie coach is definitely having an impact. Because I mean, even look at Allen. You look at times
Yeah.
last year, and you're like, what the hell is he like? How the hell can he possibly be doing these things? He was never doing. Well, maybe in his heyday back in St. Louis, but going back to something, it's the first time that Montembeault, whether it be in Florida or here in Montreal, he has the first time to be in nets, ride the waves, get settled in, find a certain consistency without having anybody breathing down his neck. Because sure as shit, Caden Primo is not the guy who's breathing down Montembeault's neck to get into the net. And once he learns to ride that wave of emotion, settle himself, get a little confidence in, he won the net. He got himself in the right. I think for goaltenders, and I'm the furthest thing from a goaltender, but getting that proper mind frame and getting that confidence, makes all the difference. We've seen goalies ride hot streaks, but I think he's just gotten to a certain point where he's like, you know what, I can afford to make mistakes because nobody's going to be nobody's going to be chasing me out of my net. And I'm not going to be getting sent down to the AHL. I'm not going to be riding the bus going to Laval. I'm not going to be getting traded. I think, it's just the more that time went forward, he got that confidence, and that confidence was maybe the only key piece missing for him to actually be a steady goaltender. That's my theory, at least.
And do you guys think he can end up eventually being a number one?
I don't want to put that pressure on him, but if he
We
keeps
won't put
playing,
the
if he
pressure, Chris.
Number
no,
one.
no, but
Okay.
if he, I think it's not impossible.
Hmm.
I still think it's unlikely. And my aspiration for a goaltender like that would be the perfect balance back in the day when you had like Raskin, Tim Thomas playing. I know that's another category of goaltender, but splitting the
Thomas, yeah, definitely another category.
the season. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, completely.
I don't think he could be a number one, Joey.
No,
Because
I
look,
was gonna
wait,
say I'm
but
with
like,
you.
because I'll tell you one thing. So let's say our fucking projections are right. The Habs within the next 5 years are gonna be a really strong team, right? If the key pieces grow and develop to what we think is gonna happen. Okay. That being said, if they go into that category of elite teams or contending teams, look at the fucking contending teams goaltenders right now. Do you think he even stacks up to any of those goalies, dude?
No, not right
Yeah,
now,
but the
but
thing
he's
is,
certainly playing.
Even in the future, like I don't think he has that yet. So it's either we score fucking 7 goals a game and win 7-6 against these elite teams, or we have to fucking start drafting a fucking goalie that's going to be good.
But Zook, I don't think it'll be a number one either. But the way he's playing as hot as let's say Bennington
Yeah.
was in the playoffs. When
Right, but
if you
that has a
get
short life,
stretch,
Joey. Yeah.
if you get a good team and he plays that in the playoffs, do you think they can win? Do you think they can win
Oh, if we're
at least
lucky,
a few
yeah,
rounds?
for sure. Playoffs, everyone's injured, right? So for sure, they're going to shoot at his chest.
The question is the steadiness. Is how long can he keep this up? But
That's
he's
the
proving
thing.
me wrong every game he plays. Really,
Yeah.
he is.
the thing is now it's
He's
also
still young too, but
it doesn't matter.
yeah,
Like they're playing.
exactly.
Yeah,
Okay,
pressure
they're
free.
not. They're not. Yeah, pressure free. Like
Exactly.
they're not tanking, Joey. They're not tanking. Get over it.
No, nobody's trying to tank. I know.
Yeah,
I know.
nobody's trying to tank. But after
But you know what?
what Keller
The
said,
teams under. My hope was 29th. The teams under are not far between Arizona and San Jose.
Couple
Really, they're
games.
not far.
Yeah.
So,
And they're winning.
yeah, they're winning games. And Chicago, and we'll get into the trade talks. Chicago, Patrick Kane is just completely lighting it up. I think he
dude-
wants to go somewhere. I think it's
Well,
time to
Who
leave.
the
but I
fuck wants
think
to
it's
stay there?
the Rangers is gonna happen.
I don't know. Do they have
Even
the
if they got
space?
Tarasenko,
Yeah, there's a lot. I
Yeah,
saw it might happen like Kravitsov and somebody else with the
Yeah,
draft picks.
Okay.
they
That's
got scratched for roster management.
Roster, huh?
So I think
That's
it's
the
happening
quotes.
because again he was pit when Tarasenko went and O'Reilly went. Those are two teams he actually wants to go to. Toronto
really? No,
and
no.
yeah,
Toronto. I heard that he openly said to Toronto media after they beat them and he scored that hat trick. He said like, no, it was never even in
okay,
my. He was the one who said it, but you are right, AG. I'm hearing the same thing that New York is still very much in the mix, despite them having traded for Tarasenko.
yeah,
So
because they know
yeah.
they know he's pissed. He's also
Fuck him.
he's from New York too, so he wants. I think it was his hometown. This was his team, so
Sob stories.
Breadman is there too.
that's it. Might
So
as well go for the last push, and then
that's this the perfect segue. So we'll get back into Montreal, but getting into the trade talks because the trade deadline is March 3rd. We've had some big trades so far. So obviously we were discussing the Tarasenko trade to New York and St. Louis getting a hell of a deal with a first rounder, a fourth rounder, Samuel Blais, Hunter Skinner. I don't know too much. Obviously, some of these picks are conditional
Mhm.
depending what goes on with New York in the playoffs. So, what do you guys think of Tarasenko going to New York? Do you see them as title contenders this year?
New York?
they're definitely gonna push.
Now,
But
but with I'm wondering with the cap space, how can they afford Kane with all these rumors
it's a
coming up?
whole thing that the cap is gonna go here, LTIR, and all that crap.
LTIR. Who?
I don't know.
No, I
It's
think
all that stuff is in the mix.
we'll let Chris. I know you have something to say, and then I think there's something that might, and this involves Minnesota. So I think Chris chime in.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like you saw what happened with O'Reilly's contract, the way they used another team to kind of
Hmm.
drop a portion of the salary. So that's one way. But I mean, when you have literally a team of individuals, surely with a mathematical background or all the necessary tools or access to the right people to make these calculations, they'll find it one way or another. But I so as far as figuring out the cap, I don't think that's going to be a necessarily an issue. But going back to your question too, Joey, does Tarasenko make them a cup contender? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's so many good teams in the East.
I agree.
They're really going to have to get if they get Kane, we'll talk. We'll truly talk. But if they don't get Kane, they're still way behind Carolina. The owner of Carolina. Look, I don't want to spoil the whole trade talk, but there was the owner of Carolina. I'll open that floor up to somebody else who went out in public and made a handful of statements. You have Boston, who's just breaking records, NHL records. It
And they
disgusts
just
me to say.
picked up three new guys.
And you have Toronto that just made the move for O'Reilly. Now, those are three significant teams in the East. I know, a big fuck you to both, like two of those
Fuck
teams that
Toronto,
I
man. But
Screw
listed.
O'Reilly.
But nevertheless, like New York Rangers are going to have to make a hell of a push, and they would have to have Kane in order to be in that upper echelon of
yeah,
contenders out of the East.
Well,
And I
it's
think
good.
they know that. That's why it's back in conversation.
And it's crazy you mentioned it, Chris. It's really the East is really, really competitive compared to the West, I find.
finally.
Yeah, finally, right? So, because what's funny is usually to me, the West was always had the stronger pack of teams.
Yeah, for sure.
And now it seems like it's the East that is slowly taking over. So it obviously Tarasenko to New York's a big one, and then the next big one again coming from the East is Ryan O'Reilly going to Toronto, and this is where I mentioned Minnesota, and same with Chris. Minnesota actually retained 50% of O'Reilly's cap for it to work to get to Toronto,
Toronto
but
gets 25, from what I read.
Yeah,
yeah,
the
but
remaining 25% of
That's
his
that's
it.
right.
salary.
But
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Minnesota in this deal are taking 50% of
Yeah.
it. But to do that, they're getting a draft pick from
Fourth round.
Yeah.
Toronto.
Fourth
And
round.
St. Louis is a fourth rounder. That's right. And St.
Yeah.
Louis acquired two guys in the AHL, Godet, Abramov. Don't know too much about them, but then they also got a first, a third, and a second for not just O'Reilly. Remember from Achari as well. Who I remember him in Florida. I mean,
Pretty
it's
decent.
not a yeah, he's not a superstar or anything by means, but this guy can chip in offensively, and in the playoffs,
Well, they
third,
said
fourth liners are gonna make a lot of the difference.
100%.
well, they said he's gonna be filling up their fourth line.
Yeah, their
Yeah,
depth,
it's fine.
and that's one thing we complained about Toronto is they never had depth, and
It's
now
okay. They're still not making first round.
They
we're
still have
gonna-
shit defense and they still have shit goaltending. Thank
I don't
God.
know, man.
Thank
People
God.
keep
It's the
thinking
man.
Chris, tell me how
O'Reilly.
you really feel.
Fuck
But
Toronto.
even
That's
speaking of the whole Minnesota thing, with the retaining salary, they just did it again with the whole Boston and
That's right, and that was
Washington
a third.
trade.
That's right, and that's the third big trade was Orlov, another East team pushing for it. Orlov went to Boston, and Minnesota
Hathaway.
again
Pushing for it.
retained 50% of the salary. So I don't know where Minnesota got this cap hit. To be honest, I never even paid attention to their cap hit. I don't know where they got it, but they getting free draft. This is free assets for Minnesota. So when it comes to Kane, I can see another team doing one of these, a 13 pitching in just to get a draft pick. But on the Orlov deal, they also got Hathaway, so depth player.
Hathaway, very good.
Yeah, he's
That's
gonna
why I
add
said.
more.
That's why I said. I'm surprised. Okay, I guess Washington's giving up.
That
The fact
was
that
that's the downfall. Yeah, that's the bad news. Is Washington's giving up? That's no good for us with our Florida pick because we don't want them to make playoffs, and they're gonna pass. They already passed Washington, so this is a big deal for Boston. Another East team pushing. They gave up a lot of draft capital again. Another first, third, and second going to Washington, and then another fifth going to Minnesota just for taking some of the salary. But man, they're really pushing for the East. So between them, Toronto, New York, it's kind of scary.
it's okay.
yeah.
At least
Chris,
it'll
no,
be,
Chris,
it's-
you
at
don't
least it'll
like
be
this.
an
Chris.
East.
It's
You don't
better
like
now
this.
than
I'd rather have an East team.
I think
Just
we're
not
on like
Toronto.
I think we're on the verge of flooding of the market. Like I said, it opened up the floor to it, but if I'm not mistaken, it was the owner of the Carolina Hurricanes that I forgot his name. I'll just be honest. It's been a long day.
Dundon, something Dundon.
Yeah, Tim
Well,
Dunn.
he's in one of the managerial positions. What he's the owner or one of the upper manage GMs. Um, but the guy, I think, is the owner. He openly said we are going to be aggressive. Like we're going to be very aggressive in going to get players. You have Max Pacioretty's contract that's off the books as well with the injury. So that's another thing that you have to factor in for Carolina. That gives them a lot of room to play.
Is
And
Burns
all around,
injured? Or is he playing?
pardon me, Pacioretty?
Burns.
Brent
No.
Burns.
Oh,
Burns.
Brent Burns is playing.
No,
Yeah,
he's
he
playing.
pulled that
Rem-
ridiculous dangle
Yeah, he spoke
on us
Montreal.
in the game.
Yeah,
Fuck humiliation, of course. But no, just to say, I think like I have my eyes really set. I don't know if Boston's gonna do more because they like that's another thing too about a really really good team, a really close team. As much as they're gonna say like good a good hockey culture, you can bring in whoever and they'll adapt fine. Yes, fine. But if you have something that's really good, if you have a really good chemistry, you don't want to bring in too many pieces that are going to end up influencing that energy or that chemistry all around. So I don't know if Boston's done. I'm not going to make that claim, but Boston may or may not. Carolina and New York are the two teams in my books that are going to like throw everything in the kitchen sink when it comes to the deadline. I don't know how the hell Toronto could do anything else. So thank God for that.
I think they're
Morons.
over Toronto. I think that's their only deal.
yeah.
Yeah,
No,
and
there's no way.
I don't know. I'd like Pittsburgh. Are they really gonna like looking around? Are they really gonna say like, "Oh, we have great chances to win"? No, no, we don't. I think a lot of like you. Case in point, you're talking about Washington that they're openly essentially giving up and saying like, "We're not making this push." You know, like that in itself is a message, a clear team that could be competing. That's saying nah, screw this. There's no chance of us winning this year. We'll start building already for the future. We'll start prepping for the next year. That's it. That's a big message to be sent out in the East with that trade. I don't know. That's just my
Yeah,
opinion.
and
So
Pittsburgh is right around the same mark as Washington. But I hope, Chris, for the love of God, I hope you not give up. Sorry, when I saw the deal today, not even paying attention of Orlov going to Boston, my head just went down. I'm saying, I just thought of that Florida pick. The first thing I thought of was the Florida pick. No, it's true because
Amazing. Yeah, for sure.
because Washington's going to give up, whereas
Yeah.
Florida now past
You
them.
never know, though.
Zook, all I want from Florida, I don't expect them to be bottom five, whatever. I just want them to be in the last spot where you have a percent of getting first, which is 3%.
Yeah.
3% is better than 0, plus on top of Montreal. So when I saw that deal, I was like, shit. I was like, no, this isn't great. But anyways, let's hope it's not the same for Pittsburgh. But all these big deals, guys, that are happening now, it's kind of seems a little bit like last year. Do you think there are going to be many big deals at the deadline? Because I don't think so. Once Kane goes, I don't know if there'll be many big deals at the deadline. Again, it might be another dull deadline because everything's happening now before.
Do you think Dadonov and Drouin are staying?
We'll get into that, Duke. We'll definitely get into that.
But that's not big.
No, it's not big. Yeah, it's not big.
For us, it is.
Not really.
I think
Well,
What's big? What's
well, maybe
Riley?
Drouin now
Riley,
because
10
you
goals.
know everyone's on the 12 assists in the last few games hype. He has 12
There you
points
go.
in 12 games, so
There you
everyone's
go.
on that hype. So look, guys, for deadline, I don't think anyone would come, but Zook, I'm glad you mentioned it. We'll talk about now back on Montreal in terms of trading. Who actually has trade value? If you guys seen reports lately, Montreal might actually be quiet at the deadline. Why? All our players are
They're
injured.
injured.
All the ones
dead.
that actually have value are injured.
They're all
Yeah.
dead.
So do
Yeah.
we say Monahan? I saw a report today. I don't know if you guys saw. I think it was Friedman or Jeff Merrick who mentioned. Somebody mentioned it, and about if Monahan can come back really soon, within a week or so, teams might be able to inquire. Well, the deadline is next Friday. Teams might still pursue him. But other than that, we had Edmondson, who's on the trade block. He's injured, and the guys Zook you're mentioning, Dandanov, Drouin, even Hoffman, I think they have little to no trade value. So, guys, do you guys think
Hoffman
anybody
has
has
nothing
trade
to prove
values,
it.
or will we do anything at the deadline?
There's a big chance
No,
nothing's going to happen. For sure.
we did it today. We claimed Tierney
Yeah,
off. That's it.
sure.
That's what we did. Just to replace Armia.
Well, we that was our next topic, Adrian, but not even just Armia. There's somebody that's actually worrying me who we might replace. We'll get into that. But does Montreal, their current roster, is there anyone that has any trade value at all? Can you see Drouin going somewhere? Dandanov, Hoffman, Savard, please.
No.
Yes, there you go. There
Why,
you
yeah.
go. Because
Savard,
because
he's playing well.
I was just about to say this is Montreal and rumors run rampant. But I've heard Savard's name. I've seen Savard's name with some of the insiders just pop up. Teams might just inquire to see whether or not he's available.
Yeah, sure.
Again, I think the priority, I really don't care who, and I'm not going to worry about. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm not going to lose a second sleep if we don't trade Dadonov or Drouin or any of the contracts that are going to be set to expire at the end of the year. I think Kent Hughes' biggest problem, obviously, we've seen him be able to go ahead and get players, acquire players, make moves. I think his biggest problem is going to be shoveling out those shit Mark Bergevin contracts, and God bless him if he can get Savard's contract out of town. And I feel bad for the guy. I know he wants to be here. He's a good class act, good veteran, but if he can get some of these bad contracts out,
But he won't.
go right on ahead.
He's gonna
And
keep the veteran.
No,
I think so too.
I said
Him
it last.
and Gallagher are staying.
I said,
Yeah,
well,
no, for
Gallagher
sure.
Gallagher is never going to finish his contract, and I'm going to just
No.
repeat it again for the 10th episode that I'm on in a row. It's going to be time to make a decision on Anderson. You keep him or you trade him,
he
but
has
that
value.
trade
Right
value
now-
is that trade value is at its
But
highest.
they don't. But
That's
guys,
it.
they don't want to trade him.
It depends,
No, we don't.
It depends what they're gonna. It's got to be something insane or big.
Yeah, and there's nothing out
Then
there
it
that's
happens.
insane.
If nothing big happens, then he's not doing it.
Would you trade him for one first round pick? Just one.
No.
No, exactly.
Probably not, but it depends from who. If you tell me Chicago, Columbus, Anaheim, whatever come
Oh.
with that, yeah,
I'll
but
drive him to the
Yeah,
airport.
but they're not idiots. These
I'm
players,
with you. I'm
these
with you,
teams.
Chris. No, but I think they should. Like I always say about Anderson, his contract, it's only going to get worse over time, and we're not in a period to win. He's one of our only guys that actually has some trade value. But what I'm worried, and Adri's right, is I don't think Hughes will be able to trade many of these guys that he wants to. I don't think anybody can take on a lot of this cap. This is the problem. Even if we retain some, I don't think they're going to do it,
He's
and
not.
it's going to hurt. So
Like I said,
what was looking to be a promising deadline for us in terms of getting draft capital and assets, it might not be what it was last year.
well, no, it's because of all the injuries. If there wasn't all these injuries, there's a better chance. But like I said, the
At least Monahan.
Monahan apparently it's worse than we think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
Okay.
he hasn't even he comes back and then he leaves again because he's
Apparently,
still
it
not
was
progressing.
first it was a tear of
Yeesh.
something, and then because he played, I think he broke his foot or something.
Yeah, it's a mess.
It's a mess.
From what I hear, from what I heard from Monahan's a mess. But
Like
that
it's,
report today is my only hope of. I like Monahan. I thought he's done well, but he's missed how many months? If we can get anything from him, we will. But I don't think we're going to get much from other guys. Really, getting rid of their contract is harder than everybody imagines because everyone's stuck in the same let's say the same
Everyone's counting their
spot where they
beans.
have no draft picks. What's up?
Yeah. Everyone's counting their beans.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what it is.
New York has to have some sort of math genius now to figure out. They're only under 1 million cap, and they still want to go ahead and add Kane. Like things like that need to be. You need to add other teams. So Montreal might need to do it if they can't retain like a lot of their salary. Because Montreal too. Remember, Chris said it. Like all those shit contract Bergevin, we don't have a good financial, let's say, aspect on Montreal. Like the Montreal's cap space is, for as bad as the team is, this is what I was saying, their cap space is very low. For a bad team, it's not great.
For now.
For now.
but the thing is,
that's
how many
but
guys
that's
are disappearing at
go
the
ahead,
end
go
of the
ahead.
year? Sorry.
No,
many-
no, it's all good.
No, but how many guys are disappearing at the end of the year?
Dandenoff, Drouin,
Byron?
not Hoff. That's it, right? Not Hoffman. He still has a year. I think Edmondson has a year.
Okay, but
Is
with
Byron's contract not coming off too?
Byron,
Oh
so
yeah,
that's enough.
Byron. But Byron's on LTIR.
I know it's
never-
LTIR, but
But they
I
even
never
said they might
considered it.
use his contract too to do.
No,
fucking-
it's two active players from my understanding.
But anyways,
Dandenoff and
That's-
Drouin.
so what?
That's
That's
it.
10 million, no?
More or less.
Yeah, it's about.
It's not
that's the
bad.
thing.
So just suck it
We're-
up.
We're,
If you can't get anything,
It's not much.
we're,
I know, but
we're still okay for now. I know we speak about
Yeah.
like, oh, we're fine and we have a little bit of time left before this is going to be a disaster, but these players are going to get worse and they're going to be harder and harder to trade. A guy's name that is going to be left field for most. If you can trade a contract like Yoel Armia, trade it, get it out, get it done, get it over with.
He's
If you
hurt.
possibly can, even if Dreger's word is, Hoffman is the equivalent of dog shit in the trade market. If you can get a 7th round pick, get it. Fucking do whatever you have to. I don't want to get caught up down the line, especially when it's going to be time to give out contracts to our younger guys. I know Caulfield is already going to be signing. We have Suzuki. But when Slav is going to be up for contract, when a lot of the younger prospects are going to be coming through and they're going to be 10 times better than these pieces of shit with horrible contracts on their team, it's not going to be in a period of desperation that it's going to be having to get rid of these bad contracts, because God knows if we're able to see it, every single other GM in this league will be able to see that Montreal is in a bind and they're going to have to pay more and they're going to have to be, in a certain sense, punished more for getting rid of these pieces of shit. So Kent Hughes, whatever you can do, whatever you can shoot out of Montreal.
I agree.
Chris, do you know that Jeff Gordon and Kent Hughes may be looking for assistant? I think you should apply. Really, You should tell him.
I'm too angry. They would kick me out after a
Too
day.
I can see Chris going every player, piece of shit. You have a bad contract. Get the fuck out.
Injure
Out.
yourself.
Yeah, because he's gonna have you in his
Oh, me, it's
mind
just
of all
Savard and
the.
Gallagher. I would just
Well,
go
that's
to.
it.
I would annoy them so much so they just leave. Please. Okay,
Oh,
I've said my piece.
I have respect for the guys. I have to say this much. I have respect for the guys, but again, I will reiterate, Marc Bergevin did so many amazing things with, getting certain players that ended up like again, you think Kirby Doc, the trade with Chicago to get no, what was it? Sorry, the trade to
No,
get
trade to the
Romanov.
Islanders.
Romanov
No,
to
no,
the
it was
Islanders
sorry,
for the extra
it
pick.
yes, but before that, the whole I'm tracing it back. I had to trace it back mentally. It was Pacioretty to Vegas for Tatar, Suzuki, and a second round pick. That second round pick became Romanov, who became Doc. So you figure we have
Yes.
Suzuki and Doc with Thomas Tatar, who was helpful for a few years.
Besides playoffs.
From that's a fucking amazing trade. But at the same time, again, Marc Bergevin, they should have locked him in a cage when it came time to negotiating contracts because the amount of shit that we're in and we're going to be in because of that man. I'm hoping that the day doesn't come that we're going to have to be making a hard decision on great players. That's all.
Yeah, Bergevin. I mean, look, I'm joking as well with the players, but Bergevin, he was horrible at managing contract. That should have been given to somebody else. This is why Hughes. I don't think he's going to make these mistakes. It hasn't shown. It has not shown at all that he'll do the same thing as Bergevin. But look,
No.
Hughes and Gordon are in a completely different situation. They have their own problems right now. Chris mentioned Armia. Armia's hurt, so I don't even know if you could trade him. We don't know if all these guys are injured, so we don't know if they can be traded. That's the problem. I was so excited for deadline because this was going to be another new beginning, really, because all this draft
This was too.
capital. Yeah, and I always thought Montreal getting these draft picks again, not drafting every player, but you can package some of them up later on and get an already established player that can help them if Montreal is starting to become contenders. There's a lot of ways to work around the same like getting Doc. Getting Doc was using 2 picks to get Doc. Yes, we traded Romanov, but that's what I think the masterminds of Hughes and Gordon, that's what I think they were going to do. But this kind of hurts it a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. But anyways, we'll see. Now, this is a perfect way to get into it. With all these injuries and players we cannot trade, Montreal go ahead and claim Chris Tierney off waivers from Florida. So this is Adri said it before. This was the topic. This doesn't look good for maybe it's just for Armia, but it's not looking good for Doc right now because he had an illness which now turns into a lower body injury, and now we're claiming Tierney off waivers. This is not a good sign in terms of some of these guys that got injured recently if they're going to come back. When we claim somebody, to me it seems like these guys are going to be out longer than we expected.
Well, we already have Laval playing, so they're just gonna add more guys. That's all.
You're talking about Doc, though, right? Like, you think he's going to be out for longer?
Well, why did Habs claim Tierney? This is
Or
what
maybe they
we don't
claim.
get.
Maybe they claim him, and he's part of a trade.
Yeah, if
What
Hughes,
who is Tierney?
Look
Like,
again.
he's a cheap, he's just a cheap fourth line, third line player, really.
Again, everyone see Hughes says whatever, but also Hughes does what he wants. Doesn't mean what he's saying is actually gonna happen. There's times where he said things and then he's done other.
of
Yes,
course.
he's been very transparent, but he's also keeping it. If there's things that he has planned,
He's playing poker.
Or
I hope so.
you've seen the way he's handled from the day he got here.
I don't know.
No one's had any complaints. We'll say.
No, thank God.
No,
I
but
haven't
you know what
had
I mean?
complaints, Adrian. Imagine if I don't complain, means the management is right.
I think you're just relieved that Bergevin's gone. Period.
Oh.
Bergevin and Timmins are gone, so you're like, okay, whatever happens, happens.
Adrian, we should do an episode, me and you, on Timmins. I'm telling you, I can go on an hour for, ranting about him. But anyways, that's a topic for a different day. But no, claiming Tierney. Look, Adri to me makes a good point. not Tierney. Maybe maybe they can trade another veteran and he just fills the spot. But I just have this funny feeling that Tierney is coming in because guys like Doc and Armia are out longer than expected. Chris, you're kind of like shaking your head.
Look, just another number one, Chris Tierney. Tierney, great first name. Other than that, nothing much to say. Um, I don't know. Surprise me, man.
I don't know.
I really don't know what to.
Maybe this was a smart move by Kent Hughes in removing the depth with Florida to make them more shit, so
uh,
that they
they
lose
put him
more.
on waivers, Zook. I don't think
They,
so. They wanted to get rid of him.
yeah, I don't
Good
know,
try,
man.
but
You
I'm
gotta try
hoping it's
anything at
just
this
another
point.
trade. I really hope, guys, it's just there's another trade happening and Tierney's just taking that spot.
Well, the true reason why I was shaking my head is if this is another mismanaged injury by the medical staff.
Oh, they're gone.
I mean, what the hell are they waiting for? What the hell are these guys doing? I'm kind of laughing and joking. I'm like lower body injury. It started apparently with an infection and then became a lower body injury. I was like, maybe
Flesh
he
eating.
spent too much time in the clubs with the women. Infection leading to an injury. No, I'm kidding. But
Quebec.
like
I'm kidding.
I hope it's no,
Good
I
times.
just hope it sounds this is going to sound stupid, but having a not I don't have a medical background, but working maybe in that field, something as stupid as this, he might have had something, like fungus on the feet or like a ingrown toenail, which is actually an infection.
Mhm.
But you can't, I mean, these guys play with broken feet, so I have a hard time imagining that he can't put on a skate.
Oh,
But it could be something as stupid as that that's keeping him out. But again, if all to say, if this is another case of mismanagement by the medical staff, fucking out. Because back to Joey, you telling us, this is a huge lost opportunity with all the trades. Well, we can't make these trades. We can't get anything
yeah.
back from all the players that were set to be traded because the fucking medical mismanagement.
Yeah, that's right. And I think we've mentioned this. You mentioned this a lot, Chris. You've been very vocal about it, and I agree. Like I think Ken Hughes is getting rid of that whole medical staff in the summer
You
because
think
this
so?
has
Yeah.
been this Zook. It's 2 seasons where Habs are been absolutely destroyed by injuries, and they're not injuries where the guy tears his ACL or he gets a concussion. Those happen. Those are unavoidable. No matter what medical doctor you have or medic team, those injuries you have a surgery for an ACL and concussion. You got to wait till it passes. These are injuries that are somewhat mysterious. Look, illness going into lower body, but then they take longer and longer than expected. And this is something that the medical staffs give recommendation. Again, I'm not in the medic field either, but usually you give recommendations and then guys go for that. But if guys have a relapse or a setback, well, that means to say that they're not giving the proper advice or they're not doing the right things to get the guy healthy. So if you're coming back too soon, this is what's going on and this is what's happening. So that's my worry with the Habs claiming Tierney, not the player himself, just what the hell is going wrong around them. And I think Chris said it best. And Chris, I think they're gone in the summer. Really, I think the medical staff just has to go because it's 2 years like this. We haven't changed it, I don't think, too much. And it's 2 years Montreal's are getting killed by injuries and guys that are supposed to be back sooner come back a lot later. So
Yeah.
I don't know. To me. That whole staff should have went with Bergevin, but
Yeah, I look, you have like, and again, I don't want to. I don't think he has that primary function. Like, I'm not picking on the Doctor Mulder. Look, if it is him, it is him. I don't think it's the Doctor Mulder. I forget the name of the other doctor, long curly hair that usually sits beside him, a few rows back of the Canadians bench. I don't think it's those guys. I think they're there in case there's any trauma, on ice trauma or
mhm,
something that they have to rush on. But the fucking, like, I think the biggest thing that you just mentioned that can't afford to happen. Can I get back on skates? Can I get back practicing? Yeah, sure. Oh fuck, I'm worse. I'm worse off.
that's right.
Then you can't be flip-flopping. You can't have these constant setbacks. And that's the funny thing. It's like lingering and recurring injuries. Well, then you didn't treat it right in the fucking first place. So summer gone.
Yeah, I think they need to. I think they need to get rid of that whole staff. I said it again, and there'll be a lot of changes as the Habs get better and better with their prospects. There is going to be a lot of changes because they can't afford to fuck this up. The Montreal, the city is not. I mean, even for me, it's a struggle going through a rebuild. Imagine you start to fuck that up. I don't think it's going to happen. Really, I don't. I don't think Kent Hughes is going to stand for it. But again, we'll see, guys. So Sammy brought this up to me. I didn't even know. I wanted to move on finally to speak about, I guess, the greatest goaltender Montreal's ever had and one of the greatest in the league. Man, the first thing I thought of when he told me this, man, we're fucking old. He made his debut 38 years ago. I still grew up watching him. It's like crazy. Patrick
We,
Roy made his debut today, 38 years ago. Fucking insane. I remember from the cup he wins. Actually, I remember more obviously of Colorado's cup than our own. We're still young back then. Chris, you were just a baby.
Yeah, the baby.
But man, 38 years, Patrick Roy. I don't know.
we're
That's
getting old, man. It's
no.
as simple as that.
I know. Do you guys have any fond memories of him? Anything
Yeah,
you remember of him that he's done for Montreal? I mean, for me, it's always
yeah.
the wink.
Me
For me,
too.
it's always the wink or the famous Detroit game.
Mine's the Detroit game because I remember it like vividly. I was watching it at my grandparents' basement, and I remember like I was young at that point. Right? How old are we at this point? We're like in elementary school, right?
With
Uh,
Detroit?
yeah, it was like
Yeah, we
90,
were in
what,
elementary school.
95? What?
95,
Nah,
yeah.
yeah. So I remember watching it, and I'm like, wow. It's like one, I was pissed that the score was like that high that we were losing. What was the score that came like 9 something or
9-1.
whatever it was?
At the
Yeah,
time he mentioned,
at
but
the
ended up
time
being over 11, I think
11.
11,
Yeah, I
right?
remember my grandfather was like, "Fuck, what a joke! Like this is," and and then seeing Roy fucking raise his hands, and then like what happened afterwards and leaving the team, asking for the trade. That's what I remember. Unfortunately, and then I remember him being so dominant once he was in Colorado. Uh, you know, those
Two
playoffs
cups,
in
It was just
those playoffs
basically
in Colorado, no goals were going in, bro. It was like
two
he even
cups,
said he's
yeah.
like no goals are going in, and he was fucking right.
You always loved him,
And
Duke. You wanted him before Kent Hughes. You were like
I would have
Pierre-Louis
loved
Roy
him
after
as
Bergevin.
I would have loved him as a coach for sure, and as a GM, both
I'm glad we had him
double
already.
double role. But I'm glad what we have now. Yeah.
Biggest regret in Habs history, guys, about trading him?
Well,
Yeah, it's top two at the very least. Top
I
two.
blame the management. That Reggie Hull, whatever his name was.
They need to get rid of him. For me,
Everyone,
anyways.
even Mario Tremblay as a coach. I'm sorry, I love RDS. Don't get me wrong, Bell Media, but get rid of Mario Tremblay. That guy looks like he smashed. His nose is as red as a fucking reindeer's nose, like in the middle of winter. He's drinking.
He's still drinking
Sometimes
now as we're talking.
he's smashed as we speak, and hopefully we meet him one day. But get rid of him. Like to me, that was like the vision of like the demise of the Canadians is that face. Him and Réjean Hull in back of the fucking bench. What a face. And then Ronald Corey, that other brilliant fucking genius. Like that was like the demise. See, the last fucking 20 years has been shit because of him. or
And
more. Or
It's
25 years, whatever.
when there's a fire, and I think Bergevin just added more to it when he came in.
Yeah, it was like fucking purgatory. Like we were stuck in that fucking bullshit. And then all the reoccurring rehires. Like, what is that? Like, we were in a mess. Now, thank God, finally we have like this breeze of cold, fresh air that's coming in. You could finally breathe. You can see the light at the end of the tunnel, or some
It's
sort
it's
of
like you just get out of your
success
house
that's
and
gonna
just go.
come. There you go.
Fresh air.
Instead of being stuck in the basement,
Chris,
that's where the Habs were. Anyways,
I seriously think, and I don't know if it's a curse or whatnot, but I seriously think that the Patrick Roy trade was what led the
there you go.
Montreal Canadiens to the dark ages. I mean, look, since he's gone, we have not won once, and it's funny when they jokingly made that commercial of whatever the like equivalent of Uber Eats or whatever the hell they were ordering
yeah.
food. That
Yeah,
commercial, him and Mario
it was Uber
Tremblay.
Eats.
It's funny enough, the Canadians are making it back to the finals. Like the closest that they came to reconciling their differences and making up for that trade. Was the closest that we ever got to the cup since then. But I mean, it's just what that trade symbolizes for the Montreal Canadiens. Like, we gave them away for next to nothing.
Oh
You
my
could have
god.
again rebuilt the whole team. Like, okay, you're pissed off, you want to trade him, fine. You could get the moon and the stars for this guy, and we could have stayed competitive and we could have continued. But in that moment, and I think as much as it's one of the reasons that Montreal is such an amazing hockey city and the hockey mecca, Ryan O'Reilly, is because the passion that we have over here and the pride that we have, like, it's unparalleled. Everybody, like, you think about it, just about everybody knows hockey in and out, and they you know they have, I don't want to, there's no sense of entitlement, but they've been exposed to it their whole lives. And like, I can imagine Patrick Roy, if you want to take a moment to reflect on that thing, you humiliated me, I've done nothing but good for you, fuck you. And then the other guys, the old vets like Tremblay, was behind the bench saying, no, this little shit needs a lesson. And again, a whole question of pride and emotion and passion of the Montreal market led to that trade, in my humble opinion. But man, oh man, did it set us back, and it's just fucking
The
sad.
plague, the plague came over Montreal.
Chris, I'm actually curious. You mentioned top two most regrettable moments in Montreal. What's the other?
Oh, in modern
Bergevin.
day, let's say modern day. I'm not even going to say Bergevin. I think it was the complete. I'm going to span it over a
Respect.
period rather than one. No, I mean, oh, fuck. That's
Respect.
close. That's close. That's close. That's maybe number three right there. But I'm gonna say the mismanagement of Koivu, Kovalev,
Yeah.
Komisarek, all of those. I've said it
All the
in several
K's.
episodes, but that
Mhm.
was the other chance that the Canadians had to really propel themselves, and like, they were kind of in the position that we're in now, where okay, we have these all stars, and they were all-star players. We could have traded them away. We could have got the moon and the stars for them. We could have rebuilt the Montreal Canadiens as of 2010. Yes, okay, Mike Camilleri, Giunta, Gomez. Gomez trade was an atrocity. So
One
that's why I'm
goal.
seeing the whole period.
One
But that
goal.
whole mismanagement period of the transition of players
Awful.
and the new team that followed, that is arguably, those are the two worst decisions in Montreal Canadiens modern day history, with all, let's say 30 teams, not 32 teams.
You know what, Chris? I didn't even think you were going that route, and that just brings back horrible, horrible memories. Really, horrible
Of
memories.
course.
So
For a
that's the
Koivu
Yeah,
broad
fan.
opinion.
it's a.
It's true.
You know what? With Patrick Roy, maybe we could have won another cup, honestly, but it really, I don't think it was meant to be. The only good that came out of it, Zook and Adrian, maybe you'll know more. My rivalry with Max, so that's the only good thing that came out of it. Really, good times making fun of him
Oh my
when he
god.
started to go downhill and you start to get old. Patrick Roy, good
The
memories I had
the
laughing about
redness in Max's face. The
all the time,
redness. Oh,
all
how
the
red
time.
does he get?
He's a Montreal
Oozing.
fan. He's a Montreal fan. I don't care
He's a,
what anyone says. He is a
he's a
Montreal fan.
closeted Hab fan. Yes.
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 Yeah, he is.
See that
Yeah.
closet in the back of Adri's room there? See with the Habs fan?
That's him.
With the Habs?
Well,
He's in there
Chris,
somewhere.
Chris, our old friend
All the
Massimo,
booze is in there.
Patrick Roy fan. Telling you, this guy's a closet Montreal fan. We known him all throughout high school. This guy was the biggest Roy fan. He
Elementary.
loved Avalanche because of Roy, and he always supported Avalanche. But you can just tell he wouldn't show it his face. But if you knew him, you could tell him he was really a Hab fan. He just put on a
Okay.
face for Colorado, but really, really was a Hab fan.
Just to piss off Joe.
Pretty much.
There's, fan of individual players, no problem. Sure, like, look, I have one of my best friends, Raf. He loved Datsuk, and he fell in love with Datsuk's play in Detroit. And funny enough, look, as he got older, he came back on board with the Habs
But
fans. So
I don't know how guys do. Maybe it's me. I love Koivu, favorite player of all time, but I never followed him to Anaheim. I can't do that. I'm a team. I'm a team guy always.
Yeah.
For any sport, I always had a favorite player up until now because when those players get older, you tend to just stick with the team. Always
Always.
stick with the team.
Of
The
course.
team, the player doesn't make the team. It's the team that makes the players. So
It's-
to me,
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways. Wait. Before you add, What if Tatis
Wait,
was
so
the
you
team?
so hold on, hold
No,
on.
never.
Wait, so you're saying Edmonton made McDavid?
Well, sort of. I mean,
Shut up, Joe.
come on, you never know. Teams
Really?
make
Can't
players.
compare though.
Yeah, I mean, there's the exception to the rule for everybody, for sure. But come on,
Can't really
I mean,
compare.
in the end, the
Okay,
teams make players.
okay, but wait. I'm a huge Michael Schumacher fan, right? I still think he's the best race car driver of all time. When he moved away from Ferrari and he ended up in Mercedes, I didn't follow Mercedes. In fact, I was like quite pissed
Pissed.
about it. And
And you
that's
stuck
my
with Ferrari.
favorite driver. I still stuck with Ferrari. And whoever was
Yeah.
driving the car at that point, which I think was Alonso or Kimi Räikkönen, they became, my following drivers. But like, it's the same story. So then I understand your point of view now about Koivu going to Anaheim. You still
Never
didn't follow him. You never
respected
really followed
Anaheim.
him. You did respect him, but you never really
Exactly.
followed
And,
them to the extent of the Canadians.
and you asked me about Tatizuk, would have been the same thing. I would
Okay.
never follow another the team he would have went
Yeah,
to. if
I
he left.
agree. I agree. with
I
that.
can't. I can't do that.
No,
He
I'll
wasn't
respect
going
the
anywhere.
team. What, Adrian?
That he wasn't going anywhere.
No, he wasn't. But I would respect the team. One of my favorite players go to Tati's case or Koivu, but they won't be my team. They'll never be
Mhm.
my team. I'll never. It just
It's
will
true.
never change. It really will never change.
So you'll respect the team even if it's Juve.
No, them I can't. Sorry. There's a few teams I can't respect. Like if Koivu ever went to Toronto, I can't respect him.
Oh my
or
God.
Boston. So, but he's smart enough not to do that. Neither is Tati. So I know to pick the right players. They're smart enough not to go to these teams. Not like Ryan O'Reilly. So that's it pisses off Chris. So I had to mention one more time.
No,
Becca.
it's just like the guy scored. The guy has like 17 points all season. You had to trade him to a secondary team to get rid of his salary. Calm the hell down. Like I just, Toronto. If you get past the first round this year, bravo. Like
You'll lose the second round though.
I was just about to say the likelihood of them going like far. They don't. You know what I mentioned before about that passion and pride and emotion that gets into the game. Toronto has none of that. I don't find that they have any of that, and they're fucking to me. They're laughing. They're the laughing stock of the team because they're like a fake. Like you look at Boston, those guys like they have balls, they have fucking guts, they lay everything on the
100%.
line, they stand up for one another. That fucking Austin Matthews smiling like a fucking degenerate after he starts all sorts of shit on the ice. Like that's not a fucking team. That's not a team. That's a group of individuals with a lot of talent. I'll give them that, but it's not a team. They're gonna get murdered.
You know they played Tampa Bay most likely in the first round again.
They might get past Tampa Bay, but
I doubt it.
if Boston plays them, I think Boston's literally
It's
going to
gonna
be like
annihilate them.
fucking wiping Matthews' heads along the fucking boards.
I'd love to
Yeah.
watch it.
No, I
Yeah,
agree.
it would.
Guys, I didn't wanted to mention this in our group. I had one surprise topic I wanted to ask you guys because I wasn't on the last episode when I heard this, and I was very interested to find out. You guys mentioned your Super Bowl food, what you happened. We're coming up to the playoffs. Game 7, Stanley Cup final, Montreal Canadiens. What's the food that's happening? I wanted to ask this. I'm sorry. You guys mentioned
Canadiens.
Super Bowl. I wanted to know what you guys break.
Who's in the fi-
Great
No
topic.
food. None.
None
You
at
touch
all.
food? None. You don't eat. You maybe have some water to catch your breath and just like settle down in between the intermission, but you do not pick up anything. Like my stomach is upside down in that moment.
Okay, so not
That's
Montreal.
it.
Maybe a bad example. Not Montreal. What do you bring? Game 7 final. What do you want to eat? What's a Stanley Cup food?
I'm gonna stay consistent. Doritos.
So any
And a buttload of
final
beer.
Doritos. You make Adri happy. You're bringing out any chip.
And Grappa.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Your dad's grandpa, by the way.
Yeah, but
Not
if you
that
bring
Paulie
if you,
bullshit.
if you bring the grappa, you have to bring the cold cuts, the sandwiches. There's got to be more that
Yeah.
comes with it.
Yeah, just chips and
I want to see if
booze.
Chris is a little more extravagant than just
He's
chips.
thinking about it. Go for it.
Because he's trying to figure out
I
are the
think-
Canadians there or who else is in the play? Who's in the
I should-
finals?
I shit you not. You guys know I'm big kid, right? Back a handful of times when I was living back in Vaudreuil and was close to Sammy, I literally go over back to his place, and we'd order a pizza each. I'd finish a whole large pizza to myself watching a hockey game, so I'm
All
going
right.
with pizza.
Oh man,
You
the morning
Chris
after
took
was
the,
great, eh, Chris?
Oh, I couldn't breathe after, but it was like it was fine.
Chris took the food away from me. I was thinking about it when you guys did that episode. I think you were spot on for the Super Bowl food. By the way, I still would have bought fish for Sammy. Didn't mean he has to eat it. I finally said it on the episode, so
Oh,
he
man.
he could
Shellfish.
kill me for this. For anyone who doesn't know, Sam's allergic to fish, so yeah, I would still bring it for him.
Violently
Sa-
allergic.
Sam's actual motto is if it's in the sea, it's not in me.
You know what else goes in the
Honestly, I
sea?
never heard that before. Really, really, I never heard that before.
No,
Oh,
not from
God.
Sam. It's just a general joke, but it applies to Sammy, I guess.
It does, but for the Stanley Cup, I think Chris is right, and Sam mentioned it too. New York style or single slice, whatever, but the New York pizza, I think that's what goes good for a Stanley Cup Finals.
All
More than
dressed,
like
baby.
tacos, ribs, chicken wings, whatever. I think for Stanley Cup Finals, you need pizza. I think Chris was spot on, and obviously Doritos and your grappa afterwards.
And beer.
Yeah, of course, beer is like
Molson.
always- Molson. You got to
You
support.
You done
Gotta
suck it
support,
up?
man. Gotta support, bro. That's our beer, man.
I could see Zook having a beer and thinking all the money he's spending on those prospects that are going to win Montreal a cup, and
Got
he
it.
takes a drink.
100%.
Or getting thrown by Sammy.
Oh my god.
The-
Body
Uh,
checked.
If it was Montreal, yeah, you're getting body
I'm
checked,
still
thrown,
sore from
planned, something. So something's going to happen to you if Montreal. It's Game
That's
7
fine.
cup final.
I'll accept it as long as we're winning the game afterwards.
I think he'll accept getting hit by a car.
Definitely
You know
felt
what?
like it.
If the Canadians were to do it, we should do the opposite. Let Sam feel it. Let's do the absolute opposite. Let's all gang up on Sammy. Really, that's what should happen.
It'll take 3 people.
Chris
It'll
is
take like 3
"You
people to
nuts."
contain him. Just to contain him will take 3 people, really. Chris knows the
look,
weak spots.
I was just about to say it's you're two savages, but I have some family duties to do there. Like I think Sammy and I can neutralize one another one on one, but I'm just it's I don't know. I don't know if I can't go against him, but I can't go against you guys either. I don't know. This is standstill over
You're
here.
gonna have to
Even though
I can watch.
even though he's gonna hurt us if Montreal wins, Chris, you're gonna watch that.
You just gotta celebrate those goals and swing the arms,
Swing the
kick out the
elbows around.
legs. Oh man. Look,
Let-
Swing the
let-
chair around.
Let's hope it happens soon, guys. Honestly, guys, I think we went through everything that's going on in Montreal. We're definitely going to come back and obviously do the trade deadline episode. Hopefully, Montreal does something. Hopefully, you guys have anything else to add?
I just saw.
I think we said it all. Oh, go for it.
I just saw Tierney's playing in Philly.
Oh
Mhm.
wow, already?
Oh, he went straight to Philly,
He's meeting the team there now.
and he's gonna
Man.
have morning practice. So
God,
There, Joe.
no time to no time. They're just gonna stick him in wild. I think they're really just desperate for players. Really,
Yeah. I think so too.
not a good
so
sign.
they're playing tomorrow night. No, yeah,
Tomorrow and Saturday, playing back to
so
back.
really- the only good thing I saw is that the Suzuki took the whole team out for supper. So
Oh yeah,
Wow.
of course. Of
If
course.
it
He's
was
rich.
a liquid dinner.
Well, the team should be taking him out, not the
I
other
know,
way. He
but
does
hey.
everything for the team. They can at least take him out. What is he taking the team out?
I don't
He's
know.
captain.
Fuck, I read it somewhere. He's taking them out.
He's rich.
Captain's taking the whole team
Bitch.
out.
You sent us the clip this morning.
Yeah.
Poche bleu.
Yeah.
All right,
The
fuck.
team Zook should take him out. He does everything for the team.
No, for sure.
I think he deserves. No, I know he's probably doing
What do you-
captain.
He's
duty.
gonna pay, and he's gonna say it's a business expense.
It's business
He's gonna give it
expense.
to Ken. Ken's gonna give him.
It's a tax
Bring it
write
back.
off.
There you go.
Originally, though, I had nothing to say, but AG, with you bringing that up, bringing Suzuki up, did you guys see the stat? The guy never missed one NHL game, not one. I think the medical
it.
staff should be
Stop it.
studying.
Stop
They
it.
should be.
You know you're
No,
jinxing
no,
this.
no.
right?
You just
I
fucking
know I'm
jinxed it.
jinxing
Stop
it.
it.
I
Stop it.
just met. Okay, so
Alright,
did you
it's-
stop into the TV
If he
when?
gets hurt tomorrow, you're gonna get beaten.
Oh fuck!
Actually, Chris, there was that joke when all of COVID was happening and guys were going down for COVID. They used to say about Suzuki, what did they put him in a bubble after games? You know, one of those bubbles where you don't breathe anything that's besides what's inside you, because he never caught anything, never got injured. They were so shocked. But I
And
didn't know
study him.
he never missed a game.
That's a good point.
Study him. Send him to med bay and let them study. Let's see if they can replicate some of his blood and whatever.
It must
to
be
get
that
the other players
biosteel
or something like that.
It must be
Yeah,
that biosteel he's drinking or whatever.
No, they
Yeah,
they
they're all
need to
drinking it.
because he's the only one that never gets injured, or he's injured and he has small injury, he plays through it.
Yeah.
On that note, wasn't Gallagher once considered an Iron Man?
Yeah, once 10
exactly.
years ago, $6.5
Well,
million dollars.
So and
10
then
years ago.
and then people put notice on it, and then what happened?
Yeah, 10
No,
years ago.
So
Way to
if
go, Chris.
Suzuki's
Now
career
it's about
comes
it.
to a halting stop, you know who to blame.
yes, Chris.
There you go. And Zook, in 25 games, I win our nice little friendly bet with Sammy with Gallagher
he
not
could still
scoring
score
30
25
goals.
goals.
So,
Don't worry about it.
Uh,
He's gonna come
who
back
would have thought?
and score a goal a game. You'll see.
Easiest bet ever won, free or not. The
Fine.
pride in it.
Fine, take it.
where's Anderson at this point?
Because you have the prediction, right, of 30 goals?
Yeah, well, Caulfield would have definitely hit 30
Yeah,
goals. And
Caulfield is fine. We knew he would have hit it. Anderson's
at 16 only. Nah, he wouldn't have made.
He's
If I
gonna
would
get
have said
20,
25, he would have made.
Yeah.
And
Suzuki?
I don't know.
He's another one that's gonna hit 25.
Suzuki's at
Suzuki,
like
we said
19,
points.
20.
Yeah.
No, we were talking about we predicted
18.
for 30 goal scorers.
30 goal
and
scorers.
I don't know if
Wasn't
it was.
we-
I think it was either you or Sam. Chris, sorry if I always get that
I
mixed
said
up.
it too.
Yes, and Zook, one of you two said he was going to hit 30, and I said we were only going to have one. He's
Not
at
far
18.
though.
He's at 18. It's close.
Yeah.
It's close.
Mhm.
I don't think Anderson's going to hit it. Suzuki's the only one maybe that can hit it, but in
if
the
he,
end,
if he keeps ripping those fucking shots,
but now he has zero support.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
That's the issue.
zero support, and he's still able to do stuff. So
Yeah, that
I
shows.
will-
give him a break.
No, for sure.
I will lose my bet. But do you think both Anderson and Suzuki at least make it to 25? Anderson has 9 to score.
They have
Suzuki
have
has 7.
potential. They have
Suzuki,
potential.
yes. Anderson, no. I say Anderson like he's going to top at like 23.
Okay.
He's gonna get
I
traded
think
and
they're
he's
going to
gonna
get
score
dropped.
14.
Oh, maybe. If he gets traded, fine. I'm saying if he stays a bunch, I think they're going to have a drop off. They have the
It's
toughest
getting
schedule
tough.
in the league. I
have a
think they're
tough
going to have a
schedule.
drop off.
I think
Yeah.
so too.
Yes, but again, see, everyone's saying a tough schedule.
You do.
Who cares for them?
No,
And-
you're right. I'm just
You
saying
know?
for the 25 goals.
Yeah, for the
It's gonna be
goals. But
hard.
even at that, the fact again of not sort of caring and not tanking, teams don't tank and all that shit. Again, less pressure, and then we'll say they'll have more fun.
It's true. And they do
Without getting
perform with
injured.
less pressure. So could happen. I think it's going to be very close, Chris. I just don't think he hits it. So we'll come back to that at the end of the season.
Fair enough.
All right, guys. That's it for me. I think we really covered everything. Like I said, trade deadline, we're going to have it in a week. So we're going to definitely cover
Can't
all the
believe
trades
it's
that
already
happen,
March.
any big ones. Yeah, I know. Thank God. I hate February.
Mental. I know.
I hate February. I really think the only big trade left is going to be Kane. Really, that's going to change a team's perspective on playoffs.
Yep.
Edmonton, Kane, please God.
Really?
Well, there
Okay.
was that rumor too. But now
I do
Rangers
want
came
him to
back.
stay out west because I don't want him to join any East teams to make them better. So that would be me.
You just don't want it because of the draft.
Well, that's in Montreal's case, yes. Well, no, it's actually good because if Montreal,
Wouldn't you want an East team to win instead of the?
nah, I don't. I don't know. If it's not Montreal, I don't want East teams to win. I wouldn't mind Florida, but besides this year, they're really the only ones. Because Boston, Toronto, Tampa, no way. Carolina with KK, no.
Not like he's gonna.
That's fair.
It
Pittsburgh,
is what
one
it
last
is.
dance. Anyways, okay.
No.
Well, we gotta save this for the
Yeah.
trade episode.
Yeah, we gotta let it go. So
More to
that's gonna
come.
happen in a week. All right, guys, we're gonna end this off here. Obviously, thank you again for joining. First time hosting. So
Good
I think I
job,
did a
Joey.
lot
Good
better
job,
than
Joey.
Well
Sam.
done.
I just keep egging on Sam, so he's gonna text me and write me a bunch of shit
Sam,
after.
Sam is
You're in
gonna
trouble.
yell in the next
Yeah.
episode.
I can
like that.
imagine him listening to it and the fire in his eyes. Like he's gonna want to burn me. Anyways, that's the goal of it. I get freedom of speech now, so good. All right, guys. We'll see you guys back probably in a few days or a week. Until next time.
Bye
Bye
now.
Bye now.
Good night.
Dynasty.